Hello everyone, welcome to Trains on Tuesday. Today's coffee mug says British Railways, property of the British Transport Commission. Well, there's a price tag on the bottom and they didn't pay for it, so it's mine. Digger Evans, my friend, you have put me to a lot of work this week. A lot of work. Digger has requested a layout tour, and that meant a lot of cleaning up. So that's what we're going to do. But first of all, before that, it's been a busy month with challenges and had a lot of fun with that, and not very much has got done around here, so a month-end update is probably out of the question. I will show you a couple of things that I have achieved, and I also want to wrap up the British Columbia Railway video that I did last week. It generated enough interest that I decided to dig out the rest of the cars and to get my bud liner out. That's going to be interesting, and we'll get that out today. So I'm going to try to be brief on that and then get into the main subject, which is Digger's Tour. So let's get at it. Okay, first thing is we're looking at my duck under right now that gets me into the layout, and a little bit of work happened here. I managed to bury some wires, so those are off the track and buried under there. And the only other thing I can think of that has occurred of note this month is right here. End of track used to be right here, right there, and right there's the edge of the board, and down there's a long way. So end of track there, that's where the locos used to stop, and there's just about enough room in there for 2 locos, but for the switching of fuel tankers in and out of here, that was a little tight. So I've added a short piece of track and a well spiked down stop at the end there, and now the locos can pull right on down, and that gives me ample clearance to move tankers in and out. So that's it for month-end update. Let's go wrap up the BC Rail thing. Okay, first of all, after doing the BC Rail episode, I started putting things away, and I came across this. Another loco. It's a bit gaudy, there's too much yellow there. The walkways need painting black. Fairly decent loco. It's a model powered. The biggest problem with that one is it is an RS11, and that is something that BC Rail didn't have as such. I don't think there were any RS11s in Canada. A noticeable thing about these is they have notched ends right here. They have notched pieces here. The Canadian equivalent, which was on the layout last week, is this one. They're virtually identical, except this one has rounded off corners, front and rear, and slightly more powerful, but basically the same thing. So we're not going to count that one. The only response I got to the question of which locos were out of place came from my friend Roy, and he was using a Canadian trackside guide, essentially a Canadian train spotting book, and he said the 805 didn't show up in his book, so he thought maybe that one. Well, that is an Alco C425, and BC Rail did have 12 of them. Beautiful locos. So you were wrong on that one, Roy. And the other one Roy mentioned was the 720, and you're right on with that one. That is a GP38-2, as evidenced by the fans. And the two locos that were never BC Rail locos were that one and that one, which is another copy of the 720. So there were two GP38s on here that were wrong. This is the one that I opened, the 805. This is the one that I opened after 17 years of sitting in a box. I didn't run it during that show, or video, but I did run it straight after, and it's had no maintenance or lubrication or anything, and it runs lovely. We're going to see that shortly. Now, in addition to those things, I also dug out all of the rest of my BC Rail rolling stock. It includes that car, this entire train, starting with a 40-foot boxcar, a PGE, Pacific Great Eastern, more boxcars, another PGE, and on and on and on. A gondola and an additional caboose. So they join all the others that were on there. There is one more that you didn't see last week, and that is that fuel tanker right there. Okay, quick running session with these, and then we'll get into the main event. Oh no, we still got an unboxing to do, don't we? Oh, okay. Let's get these running, and then we'll do the unboxing. Okay, so here's my 17-year-old brand new locomotive, the 805, slowly working her train up into the mountains. And here's the SD40-2 long nose. Now, good coffee this morning. Some time ago, you'll laugh at some time ago, I bought two Proto 1000 Bud RDCs. One in Via Rail, one in BC Rail. The Via one, I have not only had it open and running, but I have had the top off it and put passengers in it. Lovely. They tend to be a bit noisy. But anyway, there's the BC Rail one. In its box, as it has been, unopened. My inventory card that I made for it tells me that I bought that on the 19th of January 2001. That is just slightly over 20 years sitting in that box on my shelf. So we're going to today see if the grease is seized up on it. I'd forgotten what the ends look like on this. Blue and white stripes. Yeah, that one's still taped down. Or is it? Oh no, it's not. Well, maybe I'm lying. Maybe I have had it out of the box. I know I haven't run it. I know that. It doesn't want to come out of the box. It's seized in there. There we go. Well, I know I haven't run this. As you can see, it's absolutely clean. Not a mark on it anywhere. Beautiful. So we'll get that on the track and we'll give it a try. Here we go. So there we are. Budliner RDC2 number BC23 is at the station. And Bongo and Wizzo have come out to see the great event. Let's see if it moves. My Via version of this is quite noisy, and so I expect this one will be too. But it runs. Looks good. Off and away into the pink and blue mountains. So, what did Digger do to make me have a busy week? Well, Digger asked for a tour of the layout. So right now I'm at the back door, watching a train go by, and we're going to head down to the layout. So, right from the top of the stairs we can already see some railway stuff. Display cases. Quite disorganized. More display cases. And here, right at the bottom of the stairs, we encounter the first part of the layout. The Prairies, Saskatchewan. You can see there in the background the grain elevators. There's lots of them on this landscape. Some new concrete ones, some old wooden ones. An old prairie station. Anyway, this is where we're going to begin our tour of the layout. This is not actually in the layout room itself. But anyway, we're going to get a train here. The way we're going to do this tour, we're going to get a train here and we are going to follow that train along its journey. So here we go, Digger, this is your train. You are the conductor on 2521, a -9 CWL. In tow you've got the GP38-2 switcher that has been working the prairies for a few months, but it's in need of servicing, oil changes, and so we're gonna be taking that on down with us. We're currently sitting at the town of Moree, Saskatchewan. Grain elevators, a couple of sidings there, lots of old-time shops, and the church. And as you can see, we're still way in the prairies here, lots of grain elevators. So let's get our train going. Now the first thing this train does after it's got its load ready, it heads on down to the town of Michelle, down there in the distance. And there's a tower there, and we stop at the tower and receive instructions for joining the main line. Okay, we'll join it at the tower. So here we are at the tower, and the dispatcher there in the tower has given us clearance to move on down the line to the sawmill, and there we're to tie up and await for via number 2 eastbound before proceeding out onto the main line. So that's our next move. So we're at the sawmill switch and we're waiting for via number 2 to clear the main line so that we can get out onto the westbound main. Via number 2 is on the eastbound main. Okay, via is now in the clear, so we are ready to head out onto the westbound main. So as we head out onto the westbound main, we are entering the pink and blue tunnels. I can't wait to get this piece finished. Well, not finished, but go to the next step on the pink and blue mountains. get them carved and set in there. And we emerge at the other end. Now the way the layout works operationally is this train now has to do 5 laps around the layout. 5 laps around the main line in order to reach its next destination. So we're going to follow it around once, just so you see what the scenery is like. And then we'll let it do its other 4 laps while we get ready for the next step. Okay, we're back to the point at which we've joined the main line, so it's now got 4 more laps to do. Now while that train is busy, and I've got it running a little fast, but while it's busy, the switcher here is switching aggro grain. Should be anyway. There we go. So aggro grain is a place where feeds are made up. They get in bulk grain and they bag it for horse feed, cattle feed, whatever. They also make bird feeders in there. You know, the stuff you buy ready to feed the birds in your garden. So he's pulled that out of there, and he's sitting with the loco just back in the tunnel, and he's now going to push this up to the main line. Our mainline train was getting a bit noisy there, so I waited for him to get by. He's now into his 3rd lap. So this is the industrial area just set below the Pink and Blue Mountains. And the switcher's now getting these empty grain cars moved up into position, ready. So our train has completed its 5 laps, and it is now coming in off the main. You'll see it come on through the switch here now. There we go, that's the yard switch. Over the double crossover, and he's taken what is currently called track 21. Okay, once in and the brakes are set, the power is cut off, and the power pulls away from the train and heads for the shops for servicing. Fuel, sand, whatever they do. Clean the windows, restock the water. Okay, while the locos were being taken off and down to the shops, and the new locos get ready to take the train on further, our switcher takes the opportunity to head out into the yard with his empty grain cars, and then he's going to take two more that we've just bought in and take them down to Agro Grains. Okay, it's a fairly small train that we're going to have, so assigned to handle it are a couple of Alco C424s, number 3202 and number 3219. So now they're making their way to the other end of the yard to get on the other end of the train. So our train is ready to depart. Now, due to the nature of the layout, eastbound and westbound are the same thing. So we're going in the opposite direction, but we're still heading west. It's just a quirk of the layout. Anyway, we've got some tricky track work to get through here. There's the first turnout. Double slip. Back onto the westbound main, as was, through the crossover, and away we go. Heading out onto the main line again. And off we go to the pink and blue mountains again. Now it's the same story for this leg of the journey. 5 laps around, but in the opposite direction. So we'll stay with it for the first lap, and then let it run its 5 laps, and we'll do something else. So we get a view from the opposite direction. Down the hill. Into the deep cut. Out into the desert. And swinging by the city. Out past the intermodal yards. The oil refinery. And it's away on its journey. Okay, as that makes its way round, we're back to the switcher. Complete his duties here today. He's got it light today. Very light. So while the train makes its way round, it's on lap 3 now, just starting lap 3. We'll take a look at some of the work that the switcher has to do. He's got this factory here. Nobody knows what this factory is actually, or what it does. It is known as Weird Works. They get box cars and they get tank cars. And the tank cars are molten sulfur. Interesting. No idea. We don't know what happens in there, but we switch cars in and out anyway. That building in the back there, the sort of slate grey roof one, that is the bottling works, Pepsi and Crush and that sort of stuff. Down here we have Multi-Tech Warehouse. I don't know what they're selling. Dick's Auto Body. Plumbing supplies. It actually says Home Hardware in front of that. Maybe it's a hardware store. I don't know. Anyway, more industries here that are served by both by road and rail. So there's cars constantly being switched in and out of there. On the other side of the tracks we've got another warehouse type building with rail doors. A little green building with brown roof, well, that's a foundry. Over the back, under construction, is a power substation, and we've got a set of towers here carrying power. We've talked about agro grain before. Well, they're there. And then we've got the steelworks over here. Not steelworks as such, but a steel dealer. It's Independent Specialty Steels Limited. And I hope nobody from Independent Specialty Steels Limited sees that, because I've just borrowed that off an envelope. Anyway, lots of cars get switched in and out of there. All kinds of stuff. In addition to that, this switcher takes care of anything that needs doing in the yard. And it has the lumber reload center here. Lots of lumber here waiting to go on cars. This is mainly for export, this lumber. It goes up to the docks. The switcher may also, while this train is running, in fact, while two trains may be running on the main line, that switcher may cross the main lines and switch the oil refinery. It might also do switching in the intermodal yard and the car transporters, auto racks. You can see in the background there, this is the dock area itself, but this is not the main docks. We've also got what's called a team siding here. There's all kinds of stuff goes on a team siding. And of course there is the main yard to be switched as well. Now here comes our train. You're doing good, digger. Haven't had any problems yet. Anyway, our train is now completing its 5th lap. It's slowed, and we'll slow a little bit more to take the switch that will lead it off on the branch line that heads towards the docks. There we go, through the switch. Now that the train is through, we can pick up the pace a little bit and we head off into the tunnel. We'll leave it at that. Now as we emerge from the tunnel on the other side, we're off into some strange country now. There's the chemical works. And our train is heading in down past the yards, down the yards that serves the docks. I don't have names for these places yet. I don't even know a name for the main city. Now at this point the power is cut off again and it heads off to the shops again for servicing. Now what happens to our train at this point is the following. We're not going to go through every move, but the following happens. There's two switches up here in the yard, and they will now pull out, come back and pick up the train, drag it back and set it off in any empty space available in the yard. Right now we're quite full up here. Anyway, that's what will happen there, and then when the time comes and they're ready down at the docks, another switcher will come up from the docks and pick the cars up and take them off down this line here, way off down there. I'll meet you at the other end there. Hang on. There we go. Yeah, so it'll come down here and it will then get placed in tracks down here. We're now at the docks. This is the dock area. Vancouver. So the train will get placed in here. These cars here right now are full and they're heading over to the grain terminals. A couple there, another big one over there, and they will be emptied and they will await ships. Take the grain to China, Japan, Australia maybe, I don't know. Do we export to Australia? Anyway, that direction. So that's what happens to the train. So let's take a look here at the end of the docks. Right down here, end of track. And we are just about back where we started from, on the prairies, just across the aisle. There we go, Digger. We're going to call that the end of the shift. You're off duty. So that is, in a nutshell, one train. In an operating session that takes about 2 hours to get everything done and get it around. I've skipped a few things today and made it a bit quicker. The train was already made up. It didn't have to be made up at the prairies, and we're not breaking it up here and putting it in the docks. And there were a few other little moves that I simplified for the demonstration purposes. Anyway, hope you enjoyed that. Just remember, that's one train, grain train. We also handle coal traffic, sulfur, intermodal containers, general goods in boxcars and things. We've got potash trains. Gosh, there's got to be other things. We will be, once I get it built, we will be servicing the bakery with flour, bulk flour from pressure unloading hoppers, and there'll be molasses and corn syrup and all sorts of stuff going in and out of there. So a lot more traffic. Oh gosh, yeah, there's oil traffic. We parked our loco here right beside two tank cars. Those tank cars will soon be empty and they'll have to make their way back through a very similar process back to the refinery for reloading. So let's have another look around and sort of get the big picture. So here we are back at the prairies where we started out, and we'll enter the room. The room, from where I am right now to the other end, is 22 feet. And across the end wall, it's 16 feet. Down this side of the layout, we're about 12 feet to the aisle here. Now, you may see that this layout is an odd shape in the room. And there is an explanation for that. Okay, that there is a chimney, and that round disc in the middle there, that's where the pipe goes in. So underneath the benchwork here is the wood burner. There we go. I haven't used it for 2 or 3 years, and to use it if I needed to, it's there in case of a power cut or something like that, a prolonged power cut. Just needs turning 90 degrees to the left here, and then the pipe needs connecting up. Now obviously I can't connect that up through the layout, and the heat wouldn't be good on the layout. So this layout is designed through here in sections that just quite literally lift off. Just have to remove 3 turnouts here, and it's designed with 3 with you know, places to remove the rail joiners, and then just slides right out. Same on the other end. Do that, and then this, once it's cleared of anything loose, just literally lifts straight off. Straight up. No problem. Same goes for that section down there with the docks, because there wouldn't be enough heat clearance there at the side of the chimney. And this side of the chimney we've got the big yard here, and that too, right down here by this door, that separates. There are 4 little sections of track across here that come out, and then this just quite literally lifts off. There's nothing to it. And the only wiring involved is this one here, and that plugs in here into this grain terminal, grain elevator. It plugs in there. Now I can unplug that from there and remove it in a matter of seconds, and I'm good to go. That area there can substitute as a control panel for that controller. It is literally a matter of unplugging it underneath here, right there, and the electrical right there, and then you just pull it out, take it down there, plug it in, and away you go again. So that's essentially it. With all that removed, I can then hook up the wood burner there. The whole thing, from right now with all this stuff on here, I could have that wood burner burning in about 25-30 minutes. And this really strange shape across here of these walls, you're not really getting to see the shape of it with me panning like that, but that gives me legal clearances from the wood burner. Now that doorway there, that leads off into another room. Quite private, that room at the moment, I'm afraid. Can't take you in there. That door actually swings this way. There's the hinge. it actually swings out into here, so if you need to open it, you've got to go through all that process of taking the layout apart. Not difficult, but anyway, there's another entrance into there, so we don't have to worry about that one. I've got it off the hinges right now. It's just laying there loose, and the reason I've done that is because right here, where I've got this little section that I can take out, in order to remove that, I've decided I can use a turnout as the removable piece. And once that turnout's in there, I can then curl off into that room. That room's not as big as this one, but I figure I can get another 50 or 60 feet of running by going in there, and it'll have to be modular. It'll have to be set up in the day, used, and then taken down again at the end of the day. So now, I think to wrap up, I'm going to do a panorama, stand in one spot here in the layout and pan around from the entryway. We'll pan around and take a look at the whole thing. There's my display cases that a lot of people have remarked on, and one day I plan to do another video similar to this one, going through all those. Here we can see the route of the mine in the foreground. Display cases up there. And we're back to the doorway. But of course the layout itself continues on around here. This layout was not planned. It evolved, and it continues to evolve. But it's a lot of fun to operate. A lot of fun. There we go. Hope you enjoyed that, digger. Well, there we go, everyone. I did forget to mention that we also operate passenger trains, and amongst all that, they're a real nuisance. They are. They get in the way of the freight. And I hope you enjoyed the tour. It's probably going to be a long video, but well, had to be done sometime. So yeah, that's it. The Highland Valley Railway in a nutshell. Bye for now, everyone. We'll see you again for another Trains on Tuesday sometime, probably on Tuesday. Right, bye.